Have you ever asked yourself what would happen if Army or Navy were in position to make the college football playoffs with their looming game in such a weird spot, and how such a situation would affect everything? No? Well, I wondered this very thing a few years ago, and it gets a bit weird, so I decided to make a quick video on the matter. So in this one, I'm going to break down every scenario for you. Let's get chronic. If you are new to college football or just a casual, Army, Navy, and Air Force play every year for the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy, the highest honor at the highest level of college football among service teams. The team with the best record against the others is the winner at the end of the year. The trophy itself was established in 1972. As of this writing, surprisingly, Air Force has won or retained the trophy via three-way tie 21 times, with Navy having 18 and Army only 10. The Army versus Navy game, however, is the most historically important of the three annual games, and has even decided historical national championships. The first game between the two East Coast teams was played in November of 1890, usually in neutral site Philadelphia. Navy leads the all-time series 64, 55, and 7. That's well and great, but what does that have to do with this video? Well, since conference championships came along and the college football playoffs started, there's a one-weekend period in between where they reserve the whole Saturday for this game alone. Now, since the game with Air Force is played mid-season, they aren't really a factor in this, but Navy joined the American Conference in 2015 after years of independence, and Army did the same in 2024. The American Conference Football Championship game started in 2015, with Navy making one appearance in 2016 with a 34-10 loss to Temple, and Army winning their only one in 2024, 35-14 over Tulane. Here's the thing though, both this conference championship game and the college football playoff selection show occurs before the Army-Navy game. So, in 2024, I started wondering, what would happen if one or both of these teams were in the hunt for the college football playoffs with one game remaining? Well, I've done the research, and to the best of my knowledge, this is what would happen in each scenario. First things first, and this is the answer, so if you wanted to end the video here, you can. Thanks for coming. The Army-Navy game is a glorified exhibition game and does not affect the AAC or CFP rankings. It is simply a part of tradition, and it is played with no stakes but bragging rights and the CIT trophy. For those of you still with me, let's go through some wild scenarios and see how they would look. In the first example, we will use a real one that happened recently. 2024 Army got off to a 9-0 start, but only got as high as number 17 due to lack of respect for their strength of schedule. They had played 0 ranked teams, and the polls felt that they were not worthy of anything higher entering their matchup with number 6 Notre Dame. They were right. The Irish won the game 49-14, and the Black Knights were done in the national landscape. But say in some bizarro world, what if Army had pulled the upset? The number 17 ranked Black Knights would have maybe jumped to somewhere around number 12 or number 13. From there, just like in real life, they went out to finish 13-0 as conference champions. By this time, they could have risen to number 10 or something. Maybe, just maybe, they get the 12 seed over Clemson. Now, had this happen, instead of waiting a few weeks for the first round, they play Navy the week before and lose 31-13 like they did in real life, and suddenly, a playoff team has been upset before the playoffs. But since this is viewed as an exhibition game, the rankings don't move, and a freshly beaten Army goes in and plays Texas. Now, I'd love to keep playing with the butterfly effect, but since Texas beat Clemson, it doesn't seem like any difference would have been made in the final result. But it sure would have made an interesting story, and for argument's sake, this would have looked equally as odd for Navy, just with the teams flipped. But let's get into the stickiest possible scenario, and arguably the most controversial. But first, let's throw out the easiest. Obviously, if the two met as number 1 and number 2, it would work itself out, and they'd both get in, and could even end up playing 3 straight games against each other. No, I'm talking about both being right on the bubble. To try and keep this more realistic and way out there possible, I'll go with the 2029 Navy schedule instead of making one up. In 2029, Navy is set to take on Ohio State and Notre Dame in the same season. Imagine Navy pulls off the Week 1 upset against a very highly ranked Buckeyes team, then runs the conference up to a top 10 ranking. Then they fall just short against a highly ranked Notre Dame team by, say, a field goal. On the other side of things, Army has run the conference too and even scored a big win over a number 15 Missouri, perhaps, in mid-October. We then enter the American Championship game with number 13 Navy versus number 15 Army in my fairy tale world. Army wins the conference championship by 7. Oh, let's also pretend we now have a 16-team playoff because we actually might at that time. Army, as conference champion, is selected that weekend as number 14 or number 15 seed into the college football playoffs. Navy is left just outside with a loss, perhaps ranked around number 18. Now, the week right before the playoffs, we head to Philly to watch number 18 Navy versus number 15 and college football playoff locked-in Army. Navy is mad and wins 48-10, proving they belonged. So Navy technically just embarrassed a playoff team in the sort of postseason purgatory. Awkward. Then, Army upsets BYU in the first round, and riots happen all over the Navy campus, and Civil War Part 2 Electric Boogaloo kicks off. Okay, let's settle down. Anyways, the bottom line is, with the Army-Navy game being an exhibition game in a very sensitive part of the season, it does open the door for the possibility of some very weird scenarios. But ultimately, had you ever wondered, whatever is decided after the conference championship game is final, and whatever comes next is just for tradition. If you'd like to see things get as wild as they can, minus the war part, let me know down in the comments. Personally, I don't think we will ever have to worry about it, as neither team can recruit the same as the rest of the nation, and even in seasons where one or both teams are doing well, they still aren't much of a threat on the grander scale, as Notre Dame proved in 2024. If you guys have not yet checked out my video on how legit are Army's 5 national championships, please go ahead and do that. That dropped yesterday as of this recording. And there's also one on another video about Navy. Please go check out all the videos in that series. They're doing really good. We've got an all-time best players list we're working on, a all-time best coaches, lots of stuff. Please go check it out for me. This has been College Football Chronicles. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.